Hello everyone. Welcome to this channel Jikook universe. In this video we will discuss something interesting and definitely a shame to miss. Come on, watch until the end. Faith. 7 letters that resonate throughout the world. Not just a name but a symbol of an era. A name that has become synonymous with perfection, hard work, and the boundless love of billions of fans worldwide. They are the epitome of dreams come true, ordinary young people now standing at the pinnacle of the global entertainment industry. But behind that dazzling light, do we really see everything? Or is the light too dazzling, obscuring the shadows beneath? On stage, they shine brightly. But behind the scenes, a different story unfolds. Full of pressure, a cruel system, and a struggle against an industry that often treats people as products. This world polishes everything to make it look beautiful. But who cares about the wounds that are unseen? The Korean entertainment industry is known for its brutal training system. Teenagers are recruited and put through long, grueling training programs. They practice up to dozens of hours a day, live in cramped dormitories, eat according to rules, and live in uncertainty. Every aspect of their lives is controlled, from their weight to their food choices to their personal relationships. Even their personalities were reshaped to fit a marketable, perfect image. BTS also went through this tough phase. In an interview, Kim Namjoon once said, "We were like nameless fighters. We didn't know if we would go on stage or not." This quote describes how they had to survive in an inhumane system, where hard work didn't always guarantee results, and every step felt like a gamble with fate. Hybe, formerly just Big Hit Entertainment, was a small company with no big name. But thanks to BTS, everything changed. BTS's success propelled Hybe into an entertainment giant, acquiring numerous other agencies and forming a kind of empire. But that immense power came at a heavy price. Internal employees began to speak out. They complained about brutal work hours, extreme pressure, and a work culture that stifled creativity. Hybe was described as a place of silent pressure, where smiles were masks and ideas were only valued if they brought in money. In a world measured by charts and KPIs, there was no room for fatigue or doubt. Founder Bang Si-hyuk was once revered as BTS's savior. But in 2025, his name was tarnished after he was allegedly involved in insider trading practices before Hybe's IPO. He was accused of pocketing millions of dollars in profits through information kept secret from the public, including artists and employees. When the protector becomes the executioner, who can be trusted? Chai In, Hybe's former communications director, exposed the dark side of the company. She called Hybe an evil organization. She suffered from severe fatigue, anxiety attacks, and weight loss due to work pressure. She also revealed that although BTS earned hundreds of millions of dollars, each member only earned around $6.5 million, while Bang Si-hyuk could pocket over $300 million. It was a painful disparity, considering who was actually standing on stage with the blood, sweat, and tears. Even more distressing, BTS apparently had no control over their lives. They were the face of a brand but not the owner of their own lives. Their bodies were sold to the public while their souls were locked away in contracts. They weren't free to make personal decisions. Even hairstyles had to go through management's approval. Kim Namjoon finally spoke out. In an interview, he boldly declared that the idol system was unfair. He called pressure an inherent part of the industry, and that speaking honestly wasn't something the company wanted. But when the system holds the microphone, who will hear the voices that oppose it? Suga, also known as Min Yoongi, was embroiled in controversy when he used a Jim Jones voice sample in his mixtape. Although the voice was eventually removed and an apology issued, the public questioned, was Yoongi truly unaware? Or was their control over their work so limited that even the music wasn't truly theirs? Then came the most symbolic moment. An LED truck pulled up in front of Hybe's offices, carrying a stern message from Jungkook's solo stans: "Free Jungkook. Let him be a solo artist." They believed Hybe was stifling Jungkook's immense talent for the sake of the group. But behind the protests, a harsh reality loomed. Even the freedom to create music isn't an artist's absolute right. The move sparked a war within the fandom. Some ARMY felt it was a betrayal, while others saw it as a genuine cry. But one thing was clear. The pressure on idols came from all directions. Management, the public, even love turned into demands. When love turns into control, how can one breathe? In every BTS performance, everything seemed perfect. But behind the scenes there was a life lived within limits. No dating, no free speech, not even their social media accounts were private. Every move was part of a strategy. Even rest periods, including military service, were included in the company's planning. Behind those smiles there was unspoken fatigue. Even Jimin and Jungkook, known for their close relationship which inspired many of Jikook's fans, were not immune to scrutiny. Their closeness was sometimes used as a marketing tool, but did they ever truly have the space to be just Jimin and Jungkook, two friends who could laugh and cry without the cameras? BTS is now the face of Korea on the world stage. But are they truly free? Their contracts dictate every detail of their lives. Their identities are locked in marketable packaging. They are legends, but also prisoners of the system they helped create. Behind the splendor lies an invisible cage. A cage made of the love, expectations, and dreams of others. And inside it, 7 young men, including Jimin and Jungkook, are trying to survive, fighting for one very human thing. Amidst the glare of the spotlight, behind the millions of staring eyes and millions of cheering voices, there are 2 figures often found standing side by side: Jimin and Jungkook. Jikook, as fans call their closeness. They are more than just 2 members of a group. There is something deeper. A friendship that is hard to explain, a warmth that needs no words, and a look that needs no explanation. But like everything in the world of BTS, even personal relationships are not immune to interpretation, commercialization, and public pressure. What is natural turns into speculation. What is sincere turns into content. When they smile together, the camera pans aggressively. When they keep their distance, the public speculates wildly. They aren't just people growing up together, but characters in a larger narrative that's constantly being pushed in a certain direction. Jimin, with his gentle heart, is known as a protector. He's often seen silently protecting Jungkook, reaching out, offering hugs, or simply providing a quiet refuge. But who protects Jimin? Amidst all the love he gives, is there room for him to cry without being judged? To feel tired without being punished? Jungkook, the golden magne, has grown before the eyes of the world. From a shy teenager to a man carrying the hopes of a generation. But who asked if he wanted to grow up like this? During one live broadcast, his eyes once looked blank, his lips trembling. He smiled, but it didn't seem sincere. In one rare moment he said, "I just want to sing. That's all." A simple sentence, yet it felt like a cry from a crushed soul. Many of Jimin's fans believe that the only place where the two can feel free is when they're together. There are numerous clips where Jimin views Jungkook not as a colleague but as someone he cares for. There were moments when Jungkook held Jimin's hand not for the cameras, but for fear of losing them. But sadly, even that relationship wasn't entirely theirs. There were moments when management began to separate their interactions. Suddenly, there were no more sitting side by side at concerts. No more overseas trips together. Their live broadcasts together slowly disappeared. Some fans felt Hybe was beginning to re-image them. Many believed that Jungkook wasn't just a victim of public obsession, but also of a system afraid of uncontrollable truths. This system didn't allow 2 stars to get too close. Because uncontrolled closeness was a threat. Closeness that couldn't be explained by a script was a risk. It was easier to control the narrative. It was safer to limit contact. Because 2 people who trusted each other could be a frightening force, especially if they decided to speak together. And in the midst of all this, we as fans are faced with a major dilemma. We love them, but our love sometimes becomes a prison. We want them to be happy, but their happiness must conform to our expectations. We call them family, but we often forget that a true family allows its members to grow freely, not to fit into a mold. There's one moment that stands out in the hearts of many fans. When Jimin and Jungkook performed together with just a piano and dim lights. No dancing, no choreography. Just 2 voices blending, 2 hearts connecting, 2 people who for a few minutes seemed free. In that moment there were no idols. No system. No company. Just them. But that moment was fleeting. Because the world demanded they return to what was expected of them. Back to the script. Back to the stage. Back to a reality they didn't choose. We must ask ourselves, do we truly love them? Or are we simply loving the version of them that was sold to us? BTS is a legend. But that legend was built on real bodies and souls. On real pain. On confusion, fear, and uncertainty. Above love that sometimes goes unrequited, and sacrifices that sometimes go unappreciated. And Jikook, two human beings who grew up in a storm, is the purest symbol of that struggle. They don't ask to be worshipped. They just want to be recognized as human beings. Jimin once said, "We're afraid that one day the world won't look at us with love anymore. But the world that loves them should be a place where they can rest. Not keep running. Not keep proving. Not keep hiding their wounds just to avoid disappointment." Jungkook, in one broadcast he looked into the camera and said in a low voice, "I don't know who I am if I don't sing." That statement shook me, because it meant the world had stolen his identity, and the only thing keeping him intact was his voice. Not his own, but the voice he sang for us. Perhaps, in the end, the saddest thing isn't that BTS is trapped in the system, but that the world is too busy enjoying their work to ask if they're still okay. BTS isn't just a story of success. It's also about sacrifice. About losing oneself for the sake of others' expectations. About two best friends, Jimin and Jungkook, who try to find each other amidst the maze of popularity and pressure. About people who want to live without scripts, without expectations, without cameras. Maybe now is the time to love them in a new way. Without demanding. Without interfering. Without confining them to the versions we desire. Because in the end, true love isn't about possessing, but about letting them breathe. Without scripts. Without the spotlight. Without the burden of the world. Breathe as themselves. Thank you for accompanying the sweet story of Jimin and Jungkook today. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you don't miss their next special moment. See you in the next video, Jikookers.